And welcome everyone to one of our panels for Walker Spring Connect. You are at Secrets to Landing a Job Before You Graduate, and we have some wonderful App State student panelists. They're going to give their insights and tips, and you can hear straight from them kind of how they approached their job search, all kinds of good things we're going to find out from them today. So there are a couple of housekeeping items though before we get started, so I want to be sure that we go through those. Again, my name is Maureen Cathy. I am one of the career coaches in Business Career Services, and I will serve as a moderator today to kind of ask some questions of our panelists and keep us on track with time. And then, of course, get questions from you all as the audience as well. And Kaylee Combs is joining me as a Zoom co-pilot today, so you could always chat her if you have any questions or needs as things arise. She's going to help me out with things throughout our session here. So we are recording the session today. That will be available on our YouTube channel, our Business Career Services YouTube channel later. And so if you want to go back and review something you heard today, or if you have other people you want to let know that they need to check this out, that is where they will find it. And when Kaylee gets a chance, I'll have her pop into the chat the link to our YouTube channel. But that is where you will find this, and you can also get to it from our Business Career Services website. We're going to have about 50 minutes together today with our session, and we've got 4 great panelists that are joining us. Please feel free throughout the session to put questions in the chat if you'd like to. What I will try to do, though, is give some questions at the beginning that we have for our panelists, and then allow some time for you all to ask questions at the end. And we can have people raise their hand physically or virtually and unmute and go ahead and ask a question. Also, be sure, if you can, to if you're able to, keep your video on. That helps us kind of just be able to see each other. And we will be giving away a raffle prize from Business Career Services at the end of the session, and you have to be present at the end in order to win that. But Kaylee will do a great wheel of names. She's entering all of you in, and we'll see who wins that Business Career Services prize. So if you do win, stick around at the end so we can be sure to get your contact information. All right, and one other thing to let you know is that I have pinned our speakers in Zoom, and so if you choose to use the speaker view, you should be able to see all 4 of our panelists if you want to kind of see them all at once and keep that as your view for today. So now I want to introduce our panelists and really let them introduce themselves and get us started. So today we have Bailie Smith, Matt Scott, Sonu Sangani, and Tanner McElreath are here joining us, and I'm going to let them do kind of some introductions. So if you wouldn't mind, panelists, when it's your turn, just to please kind of let us know your name and what your major is, when you're graduating, a little bit about maybe your involvement at App State or within the Walker College of Business, and of course also the company and position that you have accepted. So I am going to call on one of you to kind of kick us off, and then we can just kind of go down the line, or whoever would like to go next with that. But Bailie, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Bailie Smith, and I'm graduating this May with a double major in finance and risk management insurance. On campus, I serve as a finance tutor. I've also served as vice president of finance for my sorority, as well as executive vice president. I was previously a Holland Fellow through the Walker College of Business, and this previous summer, I was an intern with Bank of America through their Financial Management Analyst program, also known as FMAP. I just completed that role in the summer, and I accepted a full-time position in that same role to actually start this summer. So I'm so excited, and I will be in Charlotte at their headquarters. So yeah, I'm so excited, and I'm excited to answer all your questions as well.
Thank you. Sonu, do you want to go next?
Hi guys, my name is Sonu Sangani. I am also a senior graduating in May of 2021. My majors are risk management, insurance, and finance and banking. Some of my involvement on campus includes being the vice president of events for Pi Beta Lambda and being a part of Women of Walker. And this summer, I had the opportunity to intern at Lowe's in their audit department, and through that, I was able to land a role in their finance and accounting rotation program.
Thank you. How about you, Tanner?
Hi, I'm Tanner McElreath. So I'm also a senior graduating this May. I really haven't had that much involvement on campus. I've participated in a few different things like the big idea pitch and stuff like that, but most of the time, I've spent working at various jobs. But this past summer, I had an internship with a company out of Asheville, Quis Machinery. I was a marketing intern and then accepted a full-time position starting in the summer as a sales rep. So I've been working with them part-time since the internship. So.
Wonderful. And how about you, Matt?
Hey guys, my name is Matt Scott. I'm also graduating this May. I'll be working with Carpenter as a risk analyst and entry-level treaty broker. I'll be working in Atlanta and Dallas, going between both offices. On campus, I have been involved in the AppRise Risk Research Group, the College of Business Honors Program, along with Gamma Iota Sigma. I've held some leadership positions on that. I actually did an intern with my company. My other 3 companies I interned with, I didn't feel like fit me. So I guess I'll talk about that a little bit later. But just through networking and things like that over the summer, landed me in the position.
Wonderful. Thank you all for taking time to share with your fellow students here this afternoon. We really appreciate it. So as I said, I have a few kind of set questions, things that I've let the panelists know we might want to talk about. So I'm going to kind of try and go through some of those. But again, for all of you, be thinking about your questions, because this is your chance to find out from a fellow student who's been there and been successful, kind of how they did that. So first, I'd like to know from each of the panelists, what resources at Appalachian State did you use as a part of your job search? So that could be career fairs, career coaches, resume reviews, handshake, workshops, involvement in events. Just let us know a little bit about the things that you took advantage of during your time here and kind of what you thought of those. And I will maybe start on Tanner to kick us off, and then we'll see if others have things to add as well.
Okay, thank you. So I attended a few career fairs, and really the big thing for me, I feel like, was during like the business 2000 class. I really took time to work on my resume and make sure I had the things on there that really reflected the type of person I was and where I wanted to go with that. So attended the career fairs. I would use Handshake just to see what open opportunities were out there. I didn't actually find my internship through those resources, but it gave me a lot of experience to see what those processes looked like, whether I wanted to approach a company at a career fair or just, like I said, see what positions were available out there. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Does another one of our panelists have some thoughts there that they want to jump in with?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. I guess I'll hop in. I actually got connected with Bank of America through what I guess the College of Business calls the employer and the foyer. And obviously it's not happening right now because of COVID, but it was a great way for me just to introduce myself to the campus rep that was sent to App in order to just kind of like get their name out there. So I had already applied to the internship, and I just went up there and I was like, hey, like I was not in business professional. Like I literally was like in between classes, like hat on, everything, like y'all know the class vibe. And I was like, hey, like I am Bailie and I applied to your program and everything. And I ended up talking to the campus rep for probably like 30 minutes. Like it was a really long conversation. And actually he's one of my mentors now. So like that relationship started then, and I still can count on this person at any point in my role and like ask him for any advice or anything. So I think it's super important that any opportunity you get to actually get your name out there with the company that you want to be at, to know it, like especially put a face to the name, especially because usually the first few interviews are online anyways. So that was super helpful. And obviously the career fair is a great opportunity too. And even if you already have a role, like I might pop into the career fair this week too. But just like for interviewing practice in general and just like getting used to talking to professionals, I think it's a great way to, just get that experience.
Well, thank you, Bailie. And yes, we are doing the career fair, kind of our career week this week. Some of you probably have already taken advantage of other workshop panels, but a great way to interact. Mock interviews are happening today and tomorrow, and then of course, culminating in our networking session on Friday. So definitely hope that you all take advantage of that, because it sounds like that's a great resource to use to connect as well. And I think I jumped in on top of Matt. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. I will say in my position, Guy Carpenter does not recruit an app. So for me, I would say the biggest thing that helped me was getting to know every professor I had. I'm getting to know them very well, because over the summer, I kind of realized through my internship, I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet. They gave me ideas, things like that. And then from there, I reached out, looked at top companies. So I got Carpenter was a top company in reinsurance. So, okay, of course I want to work for them. And from there, seeing who the professors knew, things like that. And just throughout the summer, meeting with those people. And like Bailie said, always get your name out there. I had a lot of different meetings with different companies I just didn't want, but it was great practice for, I did meet with Guy Carpenter and other companies I did want to work for.
Great. Practice is always a wonderful thing to do. Anything else that anyone wanted to do? Sonu, do you want to add anything to that in terms of resources?
I was just gonna say, for a different internship, I looked at LinkedIn, and a lot of companies like usually post their spiel about like if they're looking for interns or full-time positions on LinkedIn. So definitely use that resource too.
Absolutely. It's a great one to use, particularly in, depending on your field as well. Some use Handshake to post some positions, but also LinkedIn is a huge place that they look for interns and full-time positions, both passively where they put information out there and also can search for you as well. So definitely great to utilize LinkedIn. So I know that I think everyone on here has mentioned internship experiences and even then other part-time job experiences. So I'd love for each of you to talk a little bit more about what your internship experience was like, and maybe how many you did, and what you gained or learned from those internship experiences. Anybody want to start us off with that?
I can. So I was very fortunate to have 3 different internships at my time at App. The biggest piece of advice for anyone that has multiple majors or majors and minors, to try to get it in all different fields. So I had 2 insurance internships and 1 supply chain internship, and quickly realized that insurance is where I wanted to be. While I did learn a lot of supply chain, I just felt more comfortable in insurance, things like that. So getting your name out there, try for different companies, in different roles for sure. And then within that, always be looking within the company, what else could you be doing? Is the role right for you? Could you see yourself walking in there every single day? Post-graduation, things like that is very big. I know, at least right now, we're probably gonna be in the office for a lot of you guys. We have internships. But when you are in the office, see, once again, could you go in there every single day? Do you like people you work with and things like that as well?
Great. Other internship thoughts and advice on how that experience has helped you? Sonu?
I had 2 internships, and in both of those internships, I focused on the department I was in, but also like branched out to the different departments that they had and try to like learn more about those roles. So that was really helpful, and it helped me like pick out what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
I've only had 1 internship, and so it's with the company that I work for and will be working for. So I had a great experience. I went in as a marketing intern because I am a marketing major. Going into it, they didn't have a full-time marketing person. They had their owner, the CEO, and so they did some other help. But the CEO, she really did like a lot of a little bit of everything. So I kind of took over those roles once I learned a little bit more and was able to do it on my own. But through my internship, I was able to realize like marketing is great, and they actually hired a full-time person during my internship once they realized like the potential there. But I was able to realize that I like marketing, but there were more opportunities with other positions. So over the past couple months, I've been transitioning into more of a sales role. So through that internship, it's helped me realize, gain some practical experience with marketing, but also like realize what other opportunities are out there through your major. Because I don't have a sales concentration, but those 2 are very related. And so it was a great experience.
Yeah, I had a internship with Fifth Third Bank after my freshman year of college, and then I was a finance intern at Electrolux in Charlotte as well after my sophomore year. And I definitely think that any experience you can get is something that you should at least try to get a role in and be able to speak on behalf in the coming interviews after that to get, future roles. Obviously with like a lot of the banking stuff that I learned in my original internship with Fifth Third, I was able to speak on during my interview with Bank of America, which I think was able to really like put me above other candidates just from having that banking experience in the past. I definitely would really like to echo the points of the other panelists about being able to kind of like branch out within the role that you have and reach out to many different functions in the organization. Like Electrolux is a heavy supply chain like operations company. So I was able to really get a look at how the back end operations also like influence the finance operations as well. And being able to get that like cross-functional look at an organization, I think is super helpful and beneficial. And any conversation that you have in the future with a professional and being able to say that you had some type of like handle on the operations, even though you are just an intern, you can, really put your name on that as well.
Great. Thank you all. So I've heard a lot from your descriptions of your internship experiences that there definitely was a lot of time to figure out what you maybe did and did not want to do. Definitely some great advice with branching out and not just staying kind of siloed in whatever your role is for the internship, but also reaching out to cross-functional areas or just to network with other people is really great to do. I'd love to hear too if there are any other tips that you all have for your fellow students here related to really using that internship. I know some of you then are now going to be working for somewhere where you had an internship, either within that role or even ones that you decided not to work for. What are some things that you gained from the internship or tips that you would give to make the most of that internship to maybe turn it into a position? Anyone want to start?
I know for my first internship, I was a sophomore. I also used to the summers are just chill, no school, relax, hang with your friends. I quickly realized that as an intern, you can definitely do things outside the office. So like for me, with some of my colleagues and bosses, I'll go golfing with them on the weekend or do certain things like that, just get them know on like a more personal level. That way, if you need anything, I know I can still text some of my old bosses and mentors, but hey, what's your opinion on this? Do you know this person? I know I actually will be doing business with some of my past internships, my current company. So having that relationship, I text them like, hey, I'm working for Guy Carpenter soon. I'm excited to look forward to us doing business, things like that. Let's catch up. And people always know people. So that's always helpful to do things outside of work. That way you can have a much more personal relationship with them.
I would say going into an internship, if you have an idea of what you want to get out of it or potentially want to get out of it, I think that really helps. And I think it really shows whoever your internship or potential job is through that you do want to be there long term, whatever that might mean for that position. But going into it, they asked me, what do you want to get out of this internship? And obviously, I wanted credit and I wanted to gain like my first like series of like practical experience. But I think if I would have, sat down when I was looking up things about their company and stuff like that, I think if I really would have like reflected on what I want to get out of it, then I would have had a better answer for them. I feel like I showed them that in the internship because any opportunity that they gave me to do something extra, I really tried to take advantage of that. Because mine was last summer. So with, COVID, mine was fully virtual. But every once in a while, there was an opportunity for me to go out and meet one of our customers, which is like a furniture manufacturer or like a woodworking shop. So that was really cool. And it wasn't something that I had to do, but it was something that they offered me. And I did it because I have a genuine interest in what they do. So I think showing that is huge.
I would say keep in touch with your recruiter even after your internship is over, because they're really helpful. And in the future, if there is a position that you might want, you could always go back to them and talk to them about it.
Yeah, I would definitely say like, even kind of going off of what Tanner said, even if you're not able to like hone in on exact technical skills that you want to take out of the internship, just know that like any experience that you have is you growing into like the professional world and you kind of gaining like your professional voice in a sense. Because honestly, the first time sitting in like a conference room with like the CFO and the CEO and all that stuff can be super intimidating. But as you grow into your role, you realize that you are just as much valued in the organization as anyone else. And kind of like growing into that mindset, I think is the hardest part of an internship, especially with someone that's like a little bit more timid. So definitely just like growing communication skills, growing your network, and really knowing that you're worthy in the organization, even as just an intern.
Absolutely. They wouldn't want you there if they weren't trying to both grow you professionally, but also, had some confidence in the skills that you were bringing to that area as well. So be confident when you're in there, and then take advantage of all that you can. So this question was not something I had on my list, but I am curious because I've heard a couple of you say that some of you had internships prior to last summer, and some of your internships, I think, happened last summer. Did any of you experience, it sounded like Tanner maybe had some virtual work with an internship. I'd be curious to hear a little bit more if you worked virtually, and especially if you had a comparison with not having to do that internship virtually. What were some of the challenges? What things would you give advice for those that are on the call if they may still be entering into a virtual internship this summer?
I can start. So I've only had, it was a very virtual internship, but I learned a lot through it. And again, a lot of great experience on Zoom, just becoming more comfortable with the platform and just, understanding like how effectively you can use it. So there's a lot of little things. So just like being aware of like what's behind you and like the quality of like your voice or your camera. So it's kind of funny. So when I accepted the position, I was given a company laptop and a phone. So on the laptop, when I'd be on Zoom talking, I had no idea that the voice was kind of spotty. So they got me a mic. So I use it every day now. But it's just like little things like that. I feel like at the very most basic level, like for a virtual internship, like you just become more comfortable with it. So I've never had a problem like with Zoom because I did it every single day of my internship, whether it was checking in or like I actually had an actual meeting. So just with the way things are, I think at the very least, it's just great experience with online.
So
Were there others who did virtual? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
yeah, so sorry. For me, I had one virtual, actually it was with Sonu. And the other was, it was virtual, but it was because I was like a remote employee. The office was in Richmond. And definitely have your camera on even if the other person doesn't. So like for me, I always had it on. It'll be awkward. I'll be in meetings, like the only person with the camera on. Like at the end of both internships, people be like, hey, thank you for having your camera on. No one ever does that. They're like, now we like kind of recommend or like force everyone to have their camera on. It's a little bit more personal. I know everyone misses seeing people, things like that. So it will be awkward at first, but definitely always put the camera on. That's the biggest tip I could give you.
Yeah, I was virtual this past summer as well, which was honestly had a lot of perks because like a lot of business majors I know don't get to have the boon summer that everyone talks about. So it was nice being able to have like best of both worlds on that end. But I definitely suggest like I felt like I had a lot of downtime compared to like what I would in an office setting, obviously, because if someone's not looking at me like all the time and I don't feel like pressured to constantly be doing work, but even if I didn't have work to do, I did feel like I just had a couple hours here and there to do anything. So definitely if you're virtual this summer with whatever internship you have, utilize that time to make connections. I basically reached out to anyone with like any app state like basis at all and was like, hey, I'd love to connect with you during this time. And people are so more than happy to do that for you. And also I would suggest checking their title before you do that. I've emailed a couple people that graduated from app who were like high up in the company, like VP of something, and ended up being super friendly, but they were just like, hey, next time go through my assistant, and I just did not know to do that. So but definitely reach out to anyone and everyone. People love to talk about themselves, obviously, so just like give them more time to do that. And yeah.
So my tip would be to reach out to your fellow interns, because sometimes you forget that they're also helpful. And like if they're in a different department, you can talk about what they did and compare to what you're doing. So for me, that was like my internship, we set up like weekly meetings and just had time to talk, or we had like weekly virtual lunches, which was fun.
Absolutely. It sounds like you all made the most of your virtual experiences and still gained things from those. So if those of you who are out there who may be venturing into a virtual internship this summer, it sounds like a lot of it means reaching out and trying to make those connections still, whether it be with your fellow interns or with others in the organization. And I think definitely what Bailie said about, people always want to talk about themselves and what they do, because hopefully they're enjoying both that company, that organization, and their role. So, as long as you provide them with an opportunity to, get that into their schedule, I think that is a wonderful thing to do. Informational interviewing is kind of what we talk about, and that can still happen while you're on an internship and within a company, finding out more information about what others do, as well as making those networking connections. So wonderful, wonderful thoughts on what you can do even in a virtual world that we're in, and those virtual internships. Thank you. So I'm curious if there's a piece of advice that you received from someone else. Maybe it was someone that you worked with in your internship, or a faculty member, or anyone really, but what is one piece of advice that you received about your job search that you found to be really helpful?
I think one right off the bat is just, be proactive. So whether you've had an internship or you're looking for one, or you're just going into your job search, do it as early as possible. At the very least, you can, see what positions are available, and you can see, you just kind of get a better idea of what's out there. And if you do start applying to them, well, you'll get a more experience as to, say you make it to an interview for one, well, you can practice your interview skills, whether it's something that you actually see yourself doing or not. You can still get a lot of experience just by being the first one to apply, or just in that first initial batch.
Yeah, definitely going along with that, Tanner. Early is always better. I definitely kind of saw myself and heard from others that the best jobs are the ones that go earliest. So I started my search in the summer, and a lot of these job postings for these top jobs, they're like posted, even though they already have a candidate in mind, but they kind of need to post the position, of course. So like kind of blindly applying is definitely, it can work out sometimes, but a lot of times it doesn't really work out. But definitely suggest connecting with a recruiter, connecting with someone from app. You can go on LinkedIn and search like the company's name, people who go on the app, and get your name out there before you submit your application. That was just like a blind application that goes into who knows where. Definitely connecting and then going from there. It was something I really learned for sure.
I would definitely say, like, this is kind of like anti what you've probably been told in the past, but like, don't necessarily like pay attention to qualifications. I know that like a lot of roles will only like say that they're looking for juniors or like seniors even. And even if you're a sophomore, like go ahead and apply to it, like put your name out there, get in early, like they've said before, but also just like I think it's important to emphasize, like in any role, that you're passionate about learning and you're passionate about the role in general, and that like anyone has the ability to learn anything. So like, even if you're not meeting the qualifications that they have set, just know that like, I think that anyone has the ability to kind of like bridge the gap between what's expected and what you have. Because at the end of the day, you are an intern, and they're not expecting you to come in like with a full breadth of knowledge of every single function of the company. So definitely just like apply. Like don't really like get too hung up on what they're specifically asking for.
Yeah, we just had a comment from Kyle. The worst thing they can tell you is no. And I would agree with that. Don't sell yourself short. You might feel like you don't have some of those qualifications or aren't sure but they'll tell you, they'll let you know. If they really mean that you have to have, a junior status or something like that, then they'll let you know. One caveat there is I probably wouldn't bother to apply for something where they say you need 10 years of experience or something like that, and going too far out of that stretch. But if you're just a little unsure and think, hey, I think I have what it takes, then yeah, go for it and let them be the ones to make that decision. You never know where that can lead. Anything else on that question?
So the way I got my position is that I told my manager that I was actually interested in the finance and accounting rotation program. So my advice would be to let your manager or whoever you're working with know that you're interested in a full-time position, because that really helped me out. Because if I didn't let her know, I don't think I would have that position.
Absolutely. You got to speak up sometimes. We often hear from recruiters, well, they didn't seem like they were that interested. And so I figured they weren't and didn't, pursue it, or I wasn't aware that they, this is what they wanted. So, letting them know and showing that enthusiasm and interest can really come through. We did have a question in the chat that I want to throw out there for you all. So this question is from Amanda, and she was asking, what professional extracurricular clubs do you recommend joining while at App, and what were some valuable experiences you gained from being a part of those organizations and joining?
Matt, I know he can probably speak on behalf of this better, but I guess like any business like fraternity or like Greek organization that has to do with your major, I think is super beneficial. Matt's on GIS like board, so I think that he can speak on behalf of this better if you want to take over.
Yeah, so mine would be a lot more like specific towards risk management. I know like my AppRise research group. I've known to meet a lot of different people, so we work like closely with the risk manager for App State. We've got things published. I've worked closely with like insurance companies for like market research, things like that. So anything specific towards your major that could set you apart from other applicants is definitely great. I don't know everything for every major, but definitely getting to know your professors, getting a leg up on other students that maybe trying to pursue the same things as you is definitely helpful. Other than that, like Bailie said, anything that's kind of business overall is always good for sure.
Yeah, I would say that there are so many organizations that they really all have a lot of benefits if you put something into it, right? Just joining to kind of have that on your resume doesn't really do you a whole lot of good. But being able to speak to what you gained or learned from that organization, the networking pieces that you get from both one another, other students, as well as maybe speakers that come to the organization, can really have some good connections for you to move forward with the type of path that you want to go on. And that, yeah, there's definitely things for every major. There are things that are, joint for all majors. So definitely check those things out, because I think, as our panelists have said, they can be helpful. Let's jump a little bit into interviewing and actually securing that job. So I know that many of you kind of got the job that you were doing through an internship. So it may be how you secured the internship is one thing you can think about, or the job itself. But can you speak a little bit to how you secured that role, how that connection came about? Was it through job boards, Handshake, LinkedIn, career fairs? Maybe just giving people an idea of where those connection points are.
So I was able to get my internship through the career fair. Lowe's just had a booth there, so I went to talk to one of the people there, handed my resume, and then had an interview the next day, and that's how I got my role.
I got my role through just connections that I already had. So I'm from Asheville, and so it was through a friend actually, and I knew of the company, so I looked into the company and wasn't really sure what they did at first. So I did my research, and then once I felt like I had an understanding of what they did, I reached out to see if they offered internships. So technically, it's a small business, but we sell capital equipment. So we work with a lot of furniture manufacturers, boat manufacturers, woodworkers. So it's a variety of things. But like I've already said, being proactive, and I didn't know if they had internships, and they really never had an intern before me. So this was a new experience for both of us, and it worked out really well. So this year they're actually offering like an internship from now on. I was going to say something about it today, but they've already offered it to somebody, because they talked about doing it through app, but there was a couple people that were really proactive about it. So, but yeah, I would say, reaching out, like if it is a smaller business, you see if it's something they're open to, because you don't know until you ask.
So for me, like I said, I'm the only one that didn't go with one of the companies I interned with. But asking the professors, like I said before, I actually got connected with a guy that lives in Bermuda. Works for a different company. He was like, I can't hire you because you're not like from Bermuda, but I can be your mentor, help you out. So he helped me out with all his connections. I actually got connected. I got my job because I got connected with the managing director for the Atlanta office, and he was like, "Oh well, we don't have any like space to hire you because we're like the most growing office, but I can help you out." So he was helping me out, and I definitely think that through talking to him and my other interviews, there's like a line between being personable and professional. I think I kind of found that because you talk to them a lot just about personal stuff, and then they're like, "Hey, you want to talk later about other stuff?" So through that, he would call me like weekly. Some other offices would as well. And then eventually they got me with like, okay, we kind of want to bring you into Atlanta. So definitely being personable and professional. And like I said, using your professors to your advantage for sure.
All right. So I think I'm going to ask one more question, and then I just want to let everybody know that if you have questions that you're thinking that you would like to ask, be ready for that after this one. But I'd like to know what you felt like made you obviously you all acquired your roles. So what made you a successful candidate, and maybe even specifically a successful interviewer, or some tips that you have related to the interviewing process?
I would definitely say that like coming off super genuine, like I love cracking jokes with like anyone. And I think that my favorite thing was just like Matthew said, like kind of like judging the line between being professional, but also like super personable and letting people see like really who you are. Cause no one wants to just get like a walking resume. Like I don't like that would be a really boring interview for me. So like I think it's super fun when you're able to like not really view it as an interview, but kind of just as like the ability to kind of showcase who you are, but also like show your personality too. Another thing I would say is that, especially at the end of the interview, when they ask you if you have any questions, like, do not just sit back and be like, no, like, I'm fine. Like, although like you really do want to, like, you're so nervous, you probably don't even want to like talk anymore. You're like, get me out of this room. Like, I'm sweating so bad. But like, at the end, I think it's super important for you to like show your genuine interest in the role by asking like a lot of questions, whether it's about the role itself or like the next steps or even something that's like unique to the company, and especially something that you can't just find on the website. Like I think I asked in my Bank of America one, like how they support women in the workplace and like what type of organizations that they have through their company that like kind of bridge the gender inequality and stuff like that. So I think it's like it really makes you stand out, and people are like, oh wow, like that's super interesting that they asked me like something that's not just, you know, like a yes or no answer, something that they could easily find on the internet. So definitely like leave them kind of like on a like cliff note kind of, and let them be like, oh, like Bailie, she asked that question, that's pretty cool.
I would definitely reiterate exactly what you said, asking questions. I think that's huge. So for mine, there wasn't like an internship posting online. So going into it, like I said, I looked up the company and, what they did. And, my questions were more, I had a genuine interest in woodworking. I'm a hobbyist woodworker, I guess. And so my questions were about like their customers, because I know they work with a lot of woodworkers or manufacturers. So that's like where my questions were based around, because those opportunities that I talked about over the summer, like being able going out and meet the customers, those were some of my questions, because I knew it would be mostly virtual, but like, would I have an opportunity to do something like that? So I think that was really important. And also, since there was not a description online, I didn't know exactly what it would entail. So they asked me, what do you want to get out of this? So I had an idea of what I wanted to get out of it. So there were certain skills that I felt like I could bring into it. And that's what I talked about there. But I did, like Bailie said, I was very honest with them. I was very clear. I was like, this is for credit. Like I expressed like that is something that is part of it. And I talked about, I do see myself doing something like this, because something that I've learned is very important to this company is like, do you see yourself working with them after the internship? That's a question. I watched the interview for the intern this year, and they asked her the question, and she had a great answer. But I would just, really think about, some of the questions they might ask you. And I'm not saying have a prepared answer, but have an idea. So when you're speaking to them, it is more conversational because you've thought about it. Because there's a lot of questions that you're going to get, and you might not have an exact answer, but try to relax. I know everybody's nervous. I know I was nervous. So just like really think about what you say, and you probably have a good answer. Like you just need to relax and make sure that you're listening to what they're saying, and then just say what you can.
Are there interviewing secrets, interviewing tips, things that you feel like made you successful?
Bailie kind of already touched on it. She did a pretty good job, I'm not gonna lie. But I'll definitely say doing your research beforehand. I know since I was interviewing since my freshman year, research is always a big thing, and now it's just like second nature. So I always have things about the company that people just generally wouldn't know, very specific things. So for instance, for my company, you can either be on treaty or facultative. Questions and examples and things like that for both sides. Definitely having multiple. I will always say if they have you tell you if they actually tell your story, I will always tell like a negative or like failure story, but back it up with how I like overcame that failure and what I'm doing now to like better fix whatever happened, or how it's been for me now in the future. I always got compliments on those. And always when I ask my questions, I'll ask like a job specific question, and then like pick up something they said in the interview that was like specific to them. So like if someone said they like the golf, I don't know, I would say, oh, do you golf a lot? Is there like golfing around there? I don't know. That way they like remember you for some reason. Then your follow-up email would be like, hey, if I don't get the internship, we should go golfing sometime. So something like that. They people like to talk about themselves, things like that, like Bailie said. So little things like that for sure.
Any other thoughts before we open it up to other questions? All right. Well, I know you all, you're the ones that are in kind of this place of trying to think about how to secure that job at the end. And you've got some great people right here to give you some answers. So if anyone has a question, you can, like I said, I can't see, we have quite a big group in the screen. So if you actually raise your hand with the Zoom function, that should pop you up here to the front of the screen. That might be the best thing to do, or you can just unmute yourself and ask away.
I have a question. Oh, wait, John, do you want to go ahead? I think I saw John was unmuted.
Oh yeah, I just hit unmute. It's okay. So I know Matthew said a good time to start looking for internships is around like as early as you can. Really, you said the summer, I think. Is that when everybody else was looking? And I was just wondering about basically the timing, because me personally, I only have a year left.
Yeah, so I think everyone's timelines are a little different. I started in the summer because I knew the job I wanted was highly competitive. I wanted a head start. So I would definitely look at the job you want, look at the recruiting cycles, and start reaching out to people beforehand. But definitely sort of think about what you want to do and line things up during the summer. So when it comes to the school year and things like this happen, the career fairs, whatnot, you're already ready. You can go ahead and email people. You're ready for the questions, things like that. So being prepared in advance for sure.
I think I started mine that fall semester, and that was just like really when I started looking to see like what was available, where I wanted to be, whether I wanted to be in Boone or at home, and then from there like over like break before going into the second semester, like I really had an idea of what I wanted to do. So that's when I was like really like more direct reaching out to people. So, but it really does depend on your major, and like Matt said, his was highly competitive, so he took the initiative and started the summer before, which makes a lot of sense.
Thanks.
I was gonna ask a question if that's okay.
Yep, go ahead.
So I know Bailie said that for your internship, you had a lot of downtime with it being virtual. So I kind of just wanted to ask the other panelists, like looking forward, I know most internships might be virtual, at least for a part of the time. So in your experience, did you guys also kind of have like some downtime, or was it kind of a consistent like all day Zoom meetings type of thing? Like, how is it set up, I guess, would be my question.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I had a lot of downtime too. I know I would like finish my projects on like Monday or Tuesday, and that Wednesday have like nothing on my plate at all. So I was kind of like, it's kind of weird for a student to say that I hated it, but I truly did. You know, I feel like I didn't contribute anything to the company. So I definitely reached out to other departments, got to know like what they did a little more. I connected with other interns that went to app. I was able to work on projects with them to fill up my space more. And like Bailie said earlier, connecting with people, because you never know who they know as well. They got me on some different meetings and things like that to fill up my calendar. So
Thank
I think
you.
initially, oh, sorry. I was gonna say initially, I feel like I did have some downtime, but after that first week or so, I really just took time, whether it was at the end of the previous week or the beginning of the next, to plan out what I wanted to accomplish that week. And so for the company I work for, every Monday we have a team huddle, and so we talk about our focuses for the week. So I would just add additional focuses if I felt like what I was doing, like if it was like a training, it's usually an allotted amount of time. So give me an idea of like how I wanted to spend my 40 hours. So I'd say you can be proactive about it, but I mean, it is virtual. So there's going to be downtime. And also, I don't know if I'm the only one, but when you're going through stuff, sometimes you have a lot of questions and you don't want to feel like you're bugging somebody by asking those questions. And I'm not saying that you are, but so, sometimes I'd finish something and I'm like, I felt like I just asked them the question. So I would encourage you to ask as many questions as you can to fully understand what you're supposed to be doing and what you can be doing. But kind of taking that on like yourself after that first week or two, you do understand a little more what you're doing, and you can do things on your own. So they didn't really do a lot of marketing before I started there. So then I just started doing research on my own as to things that I could do and things that I could start. So for that next week, I could bring that to them and say, hey, I'd really like to focus on this. So.
I also had a lot of downtime. So what I did was Lowe's gave us a mentor. So I reached out to my mentor every week and I was like, hey, is there anything you think I should look at? Or like, is there anything I can do this week? Or like, even if like, hey, is there any meetings that you can get me into this week? So she was really helpful with that. And I also reached out to my manager. I was like, hey, I don't have like anything to do right now. Is there anything you should I should do? So she was able to help me with that too. So just reach out.
Okay, thank you guys.
Mitchell, I think I might have seen a hand there where you each have a question.
Yeah, I just want to ask you guys, have you ever had an internship that you felt like you may have not had enough experience for prior to it and you struggled in the internship due to that?
So my first internship, I hadn't taken a single insurance class yet. I guess for some reason I guess I through every skills I got it. I don't think I struggle per se because they knew I had taken insurance classes. But just through talks with my professors or future professors, other classmates, you kind of know what you're getting into. And then also like, yes, we're in college for a reason, but classes are going to teach you everything. So learning as you go is definitely big. And asking like I said, mentors, things like that. And the other intern I had was a year above me, so he really helped me out a lot as well.
Like Matt said, my first internship, I wasn't even an insurance major. So my first internship was with Travelers in the claim department. And it was a lot of like learning as you go, like he said. And sometimes like when I didn't understand something, me and the other interns would get together and help each other out. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, I would say that my first 2 internships, I was very much over my head a little bit. But I mean, it's kind of expected of you, and it's a lot of hand holding, it's a lot of questions and feeling like you're like very annoying to every single employee. But especially it's hard to, if you're not in an actual intern program. Like for my first 2 roles, I was a singular intern for a specific group. So it was kind of a lot of like relying on my own understanding, but also finding the balance between what I can find online / what I can ask them questions about. So you're definitely not the only one that has ever felt like that before. So it's definitely like no pressure at all, but also like an insane learning curve too. So
Yeah, I think that's probably to be expected, that there'll be learning curve, even when you start in a new, not just internships, when you start in a new role. as Matt said, classes are wonderful. You're going to learn a lot, but there's still a lot that they know that they are going to teach you, both within your field, and then of course just knowing the company itself and how they do things, how it works. So what I've been hearing a lot from our panelists is know that that's okay, but also you have to be proactive. You have to ask those questions. If you have downtime, take advantage of it in terms of, making something more of that internship by asking for additional, ideas or projects or ways that you can contribute. So that's definitely something that I heard from all of our panelists. We really are out of time at this moment. So I'm just going to do one wrap up statement. And while I'm doing that, I think Kaylee has our wheel of names that she can start to get ready to pull up. I would just say that another theme I heard from our panelists throughout was that, it's never too early and, to start with things. But also do remember, because I know we probably have some people on the call who are about to graduate and may feel like they're behind a little bit. It also isn't too late. There's a lot going on. Go talk to your career coach in business career services. Make sure that your materials are all up to date. Utilize Handshake and what's being posted, because there are jobs constantly being posted on there, as well as in LinkedIn and other job boards. Go to the Friday networking session and connect with employers. There are things that you can do. It is not that it is too late, but also if you are earlier in your program, go ahead and start taking advantage of things. I want to thank very much our student panelists who've taken their time to share with us. I am sure since they took their time here, if you know them or are in a class with them and want to reach out and have other questions, they sound like they are wonderful people then to have that knowledge and insight for you.